What if I told you that one member of this cast traded the General Lee for a seat in the United States Congress? And what if I told you that behind all those car jumps and cornbread charm, this family lost more of its own than most fans realize? The Dukes of Hazzard was never really about crime or car chases. It was about a wild little corner of the South where family always won, no matter how many fences the General Lee had to jump. It felt like Sunday dinner and outlaw fun rolled into one. But some of the people who built that world for us are gone now, and one of them didn't just leave acting behind. He left it behind for a life you would never guess. Stick around, because by the end of this list, you'll understand exactly what that means. Number 1, we have the man who played the steadiest hand in the whole Duke family, the one who could scold you and comfort you in the same breath. That was Denver Pyle, born back in 1920, who was already 58 years old when he stepped onto the porch as Uncle Jesse. Before Hazzard County, Pyle had spent decades building a career in westerns, showing up in The Andy Griffith Show, Bonnie and Clyde, and The Life and Times of Grizzly Adams. He carried himself off screen the same way he did on it, like a man who had seen a lot and forgiven most of it. But time caught up with him. Pyle spent his later years still working, still respected, still that same warm face fans loved, until lung cancer took him in 1997. Number 2, we have somebody who spent his whole career playing a loud, greedy cartoon of a man, when in real life he was almost the exact opposite. That contradiction belonged to Sorrell Booke, born in 1930, who was 49 when he squeezed into that white suit as Boss Hogg. Off-camera, Booke was classically trained, fluent in several languages, and far more refined than the cigar-chomping schemer he built his fame on. He gave Boss Hogg every ounce of that over-the-top charm, the kind of villain you loved watching lose. In 1994, at just 64 years old, colon cancer ended that career early. Boss Hogg was corrupt, ridiculous, and somehow lovable, and Booke never once played him halfway. Number 3, we have a voice you heard every single episode, but never actually saw on screen. That voice belonged to Waylon Jennings, born in 1937, who was 41 years old when he became the balladeer, the outlaw storyteller narrating every chase and crooked scheme. Jennings was already a giant of country music by then, the man behind Good-Hearted Woman and Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. He helped invent an entire sound in country music before Hazzard County ever called his name. In 2002, complications from diabetes took him at age 64. You never saw his face on the show, but you never forgot his voice either. Hazzard County premiered back in 1979. That means we're already talking about family gone for over 4 decades, and somehow it still hits different every time. Number 4, we have the one entry on this list that still surprises people the most, because this man went from fixing the General Lee on screen to sitting in the United States Congress in real life. That's Ben Jones, born in 1941, who was 37 when he played Cooter, the grease-stained garage hero every small town wishes it had. After Hazzard County, Jones actually ran for office and won, serving in the U.S. House of Representatives, before coming home to build Cooter's Place, a fan museum that keeps the whole Hazzard spirit alive to this day. As of 2026, he's 84 years old and still shows up for the fans who never stopped loving Hazzard County. If you ever thought a small-town mechanic couldn't end up in Washington, Ben Jones is proof that Hazzard County could produce anybody. If you're loving this trip back to Hazzard County, hit subscribe now, because we drop new stories like this every 2 days. Number 5, we have the lawman, who never once caught the people he was chasing, and somehow that made him one of the most beloved characters on the entire show. That's James Best, born in 1926, who was 52 when he became Sheriff Rosco Coltrane. Best already had decades of westerns and thrillers behind him, but Rosco, with that wheezing laugh and endless bad luck, became the role he's remembered for. He kept working well into his 80s, always ready to talk about Hazzard County with fans who never stopped laughing at him. In 2015, complications from pneumonia took him at age 88. Rosco was supposed to catch the Duke boys. He never did, and honestly, that's exactly why we loved him. Number 6, we have the calm cousin, the one who always seemed to know trouble was coming before the tires even hit the dirt. That's Tom Wopat, born in 1951, who was just 27 when he took on Luke Duke. After Hazzard County, Wopat didn't disappear. He actually built a serious career on Broadway, starring in Annie Get Your Gun, Chicago, and 42nd Street, while keeping a steady music career going in country and standards. As of 2026, he's turned 75 and has mostly stepped back from regular screen work. Luke never had to prove he was tough. Wopat gave him that easy, steady confidence instead, and honestly, it worked better. Number 7, we have the youngest face on this entire list when the show began, and you might not guess how young. John Schneider was born in 1960 and was only 18 years old when he became Bo Duke, grinning through every jump like trouble was a sport. He didn't slow down after Hazzard County either, building a long career across television and music, with major roles in Smallville and Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. As of 2026, he's 66 and still active in entertainment. Bo Duke hit the gas first and asked questions later, and honestly, that's basically how Schneider built his whole career too. Number 8, we have the deputy, who was almost too kind-hearted for the job he was given. That's Sonny Schroyer, born in 1935, who was 43 when he played Enos, the nervous, sweet lawman who somehow chased the Duke boys and still stayed their friend. Schroyer carried Enos into his own spin-off series and kept working for years afterward, including a memorable turn in Forrest Gump. As of 2026, he's turning 91 and has mostly stepped away from acting now. You could always tell Enos never really wanted to catch anybody, and neither did the man playing him. Hazzard County has now been off the air for over 4.5 decades, and somehow this cast still feels like family to millions of us. Number 9, we have someone who spent decades quietly working in Hollywood, right up until very recently. That's Rick Hurst, born in 1946, who was 33 when he joined the cast as Cletus, Boss Hogg's clumsy, good-hearted cousin. Hurst built a long, steady career in television long after Hazzard County, showing up in Gunsmoke, Sanford and Son, Happy Days, and MASH. He kept working, kept showing up at fan conventions, kept being that same warm, funny presence people remembered. Then in 2025, at age 79, Rick Hurst passed away, with his cause of death never made public. Cletus made every busted plan feel a little less mean, and that's exactly the kind of actor Hurst was too. Number 10, we have the actor who had one of the hardest jobs on this entire list, stepping into a role everybody already loved someone else playing. That's Byron Cherry, born in 1955, who was 23 when he joined the show as Coy Duke, filling in during the season Bo and Luke were replaced. As of 2026, he's 71 years old and has mostly stayed away from regular Hollywood work since. Cherry never had an easy ride winning fans over, but he brought his own charm to a role nobody thought could be recast. If you've made it this far, drop a comment and tell us which Duke boy you grew up loving most, Bo, Luke, or even Coy. Number 11, we have the one person in Hazzard County who could shut Boss Hogg down with a single look. That's Peggy Ray, born in 1921, who was 57 when she became Lulu Hogg. Ray already had a long television career behind her and kept working for years after Hazzard County, with memorable roles on The Waltons, Grace Under Fire, and Step by Step. She stayed busy well into her later years, still that same warm, tough screen presence. In 2011, congestive heart failure took her at age 89. Lulu was loud, loving, and impossible to argue with, and Peggy Ray made sure you believed every second of it. Number 12, we have a lawman who looked far more intimidating than anybody else wearing a badge in Hazzard County, and yet the Duke boys still found a way around him. That's Don Pedro Cawley, born in 1938, who was 40 when he played Sheriff Little. Cawley had already built a strong career beyond Hazzard, with memorable work in Beneath the Planet of the Apes and THX 1138. In 2017, cancer took him at age 79. Sheriff Little brought size, pride, and a little comic frustration to every scene, and Cawley made sure you never forgot him, even in a role that only stuck around for a moment. Number 13, we have somebody who was already 70 years old when she joined this cast, and still managed to steal scenes from actors half her age. That's Nedra Voles, born in 1908, who played the tiny, fearless postmistress Miss Tisdale. Voles became a familiar face on shows like Different Strokes and The Fall Guy, always playing older women with sharp timing and even sharper personality. In 2003, complications from Alzheimer's disease took her at age 94. Miss Tisdale was sweet, nosy, and a little wild, and honestly, Hazzard County needed that kind of chaos. Number 14, we have a guest star who brought pure glamour into a county that mostly ran on grease and gunpowder. That's Lindsay Bloom, born in 1950, who was 28 when she played Myrtle Tillingham. Bloom had already built a name for herself as a model and actress, appearing in Wonder Woman, Charlie's Angels, and Dallas. As of 2026, she's turned 76 and has mostly stepped back from screen work. Myrtle wasn't a Hazzard regular, but Bloom knew exactly how to make you remember a character who was barely on screen. Number 15, we have a character who thought he was smarter than every single local in Hazzard County. That's Jeff Altman, born in 1951, who was 27 when he played Huey Hogg, Boss Hogg's Slick City nephew. Altman built a career through stand-up comedy and late-night appearances, along with acting work in Mork and Mindy and Highlander 2. As of 2026, he's turned 75 and mostly stepped away from screen work. Huey's schemes never worked, but Altman's fast talk and nervous energy made every failure fun to watch. Number 16, we have another actor whose real life took a turn almost as unexpected as Ben Jones's did. That's Alan Autry, born in 1952, who was 26 when he played Dawson. Autry later became best known as Bubba Skinner on In the Heat of the Night, and then, believe it or not, he went into politics, becoming mayor of Fresno, California. As of 2026, he's 74 years old and mostly lives outside regular Hollywood work now. Dawson was a small role, but Autry clearly had bigger plans waiting for him. Number 17, we have someone whose small Hazzard County role became almost invisible next to what he did next. That's Dennis Haskins, born in 1950, who was 28 when he played Elmo. Haskins later became famous to an entirely different generation as Mr. Belding on Saved by the Bell, turning school principal comedy into his signature role. As of 2026, he's turned 76 and still makes occasional appearances tied to classic TV nostalgia. Elmo was just a small stop on the Hazzard Road, but Haskins went on to become a face millions of kids grew up watching. Number 18, we have an actor most fans know from a completely different genre entirely. That's Charles Cyphers, born in 1939, who was 39 when he played Phil. Cyphers became especially familiar to horror fans through John Carpenter's films, including Halloween, The Fog, and Escape from New York. He died in 2024, at age 85, after a brief illness. Phil was a small role, but Cyphers had the kind of plain-spoken presence that made even one scene memorable. If this trip down Hazzard County memory lane is hitting you right in the nostalgia, share it with the friend who still knows every line from the show. Number 19, we have an actor who brought a completely different energy into Hazzard County's usual good old boy chaos. That's Stephen Williams, born in 1949, who was 30 when he played Lehman. Williams went on to build a strong television career, with memorable roles as Captain Fuller on 21 Jump Street and X on The X-Files. As of 2026, he's 77 years old and remains a respected character actor. Lehman was a smaller stop on the Hazzard Road, but Williams gave him a little bite that stuck with you. Number 20, we have a young guest star who later found fame in a galaxy far away from Hazzard County. That's Judson Scott, born in 1952, who was 26 when he played Benson. Scott later became known to sci-fi fans as Joachim in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. As of 2026, he's 74 years old and still remembered fondly by classic TV and sci-fi fans alike. Benson wasn't a main troublemaker, but Scott brought a sharper, cleaner presence that stood out in a county full of chaos. Number 21, we have an actor with a presence so big you'd remember him even if he only had a few minutes on screen. That's Richard Mull, born in 1943, who was 36 when he played Milo Boudreaux. Mull went on to become famous as Bull Shannon on Night Court, where his towering frame and surprisingly gentle comedy made him a sitcom favorite. He died in 2023, at age 80, with his cause of death never made public. Milo wasn't a regular face in Hazzard County, but Mull made sure you noticed him the second he walked into frame. Number 22, and the final name on this list, is the woman who became one of the most recognized faces in all of television history. That's Catherine Bach, born in 1954, who was just 24 years old when she became Daisy Duke. Bach turned that role into a pop culture icon, one you'd recognize even if you've never watched a single full episode of the show, with the Daisy Dukes look becoming part of American fashion history all on its own. She kept working afterward too, appearing in African Skies and The Young and the Restless. As of 2026, she's 72 years old and mostly lives away from regular acting now. Daisy Duke had charm, toughness, and a little roadside sparkle, and out of every single person on this list, from the ones who passed to the ones who found entirely new careers, she's the one face that, after almost 50 years, nobody in the world has ever managed to forget. And that's the whole Hazzard County family, then and now. Some of them are gone, one of them ended up in Congress, and every single one of them gave us something we never forgot. Which Dukes of Hazzard star do you remember most? Drop it in the comments, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. We post new stories like this every 2 days, and share this with somebody who grew up loving Hazzard County as much as you did.